Hi guys, this is the Xander Gibb Show. We are in pre-production mode, going live in about 5 minutes. Just setting the levels and ensuring that everything is doing what it should. Oh yes, sirree. Don't forget our drinking game that we play. Every time I say the phrase, oh yes, sirree, you can take a nip of whatever floats your boat. Here we go. It's all good fun. The light has suddenly decided to die on me, which is interesting because there we go. It's been on charge all day. And now it decides it wants to not do what it's supposed to be doing. So welcome. We will get around to saying hello to everybody individually as soon as we do the introductions and get... Here we go. Hello, everybody. Hello to Mark. We will come and say hello to Wall as we get started with the Xander Gibb Show. Oh, yes, sirree. That's twice now. So if you're drinking whiskey, make sure you have a little nip of it for me. And for some reason... No, it's not letting me do it. But never mind. We are nearly ready to go live. Just while the stream fills, be sure to click that share button. Share as in share the show, not share as in whoa. So we can get started with the Xander Gibb Show. Got some great guests for you tonight, some great topics. The world is still crazy. And the United States is absolutely no different. So we are going to go live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It has been good to me this time around. Things were ever bound to change when it was sugar never tasted sweeter on my lips. My heart is now intact and I can find no rest. This is love, yeah, love. Never known true love before. Seen so many counterfeits that left me on the floor. To those who wait, time it cannot know the bounds, and eras don't dictate.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Xander Gibb Show, the talk show that really does get you talking on the Xander Medium Network, live from a undisclosed location. It's not your mother's basement, it's my mother's basement, and I'm hoping she's going to bring me some milk and cookies anytime now. Bringing you the best in Patriot broadcasting 5 nights a week, 5 nightly, quite rightly. I am Xander Gibb, because who else would I be? And on today's show, I get on my soapbox and give you the chance to get on yours too in our phone-in. Mark Sutherland, international political commentator, drops by to break down today's hottest topics. And in part 2, C.V. Burton from Freedom on Deck drops by. Oh, yes, sirree. So you can have your say in the feed below, and as usual, I will be sharing your comments as we go along. So make sure they're clean-ish. Oh, yes. Sorry, I will. And you can call in when we get to that segment. If you're in the United States, you can call us on 845-363-4747. That's 845-363-4747. Now I'm looking at the screen. The numbers are here. And in the UK, 0208-133-5274. I'm squinting because I don't have my glasses, and that will teach me. Oh, yes, it will. So be sure to call us when we get to that section. You can follow me on social media. You can check me out at xandergibb.com. Can't tag everybody, but if you go to the event page, it will allow you to set up a reminder. Oh, yes, sirree. So let's go and say hi to everybody in the live feed. I've got this new computer. It keeps coming up every damn 5 minutes. Do I want to know about COVID? No, I don't want to know about COVID. So go away, whoever you are on this damn computer sending me messages. Hello to everyone in the live feed. Hello to Yasmin. Hello to Richard. Hello to Mark. And hello to everybody else who is watching, but not in the live feed. Come and join us. Please click that share button so everybody knows where you are and what you are watching. Oh, yes, sirree. Can't even say, oh, yes, sirree right tonight. So riots continue across the country and also in the UK, in London, with the pretext of protest for the tragic killing of George Floyd by a Minnesotan cop, Derek Chauvin. Now, I think some have lost the ideology of peaceful protest, given the fact that a child got pepper sprayed in their face this week during one exchange. And while that's terrible, why the hell are you taking your kids to riots in the first place? It's safe to go to riots now, apparently, and to loot and get yourself a free TV. But it's not safe to go and vote. Liberal logic is astounding. Now, the softly approach encourages more violence as there is no deterrent right now. We talked more with Mark in the first segment about that. Now, apparently, Chiara de Blasio, daughter of Bill de Blasio, the mayor of New York City, hopefully not for much longer, was arrested in NYC at a protest on Saturday night. Law enforcement sources told the media that she was taken into custody around 10:30 p.m., declared an unlawful assembly at 12th Street and Broadway in Lower Manhattan. And the sources said she had been blocking traffic and was arrested for refusing to move. Now, a bench ticket was issued, and I'm sure it will disappear along with the $850 million of taxpayer dollars that her mother lost. Oh, yes, serene. So don't forget to check me out on TikTok if you fancy some light relief, and also follow us on our YouTube channel. That was my brief soapbox for today, but if you want to get on your soapbox, you can email me. Sorry, you can go to the website, xander@xandergibb.com, or you can go to xandergibb.com and go to the contact page, and we will get you set up to come on the show or to call in to tell us exactly what you think about the craziness that is ensuing. Let's come to the live feed. Yes, exactly. Yes. Why do you bring kids to a protest? It really does surprise me that people would be so foolish to do so, and then wonder why their kids get injured in the process. I'm just making sure our Skype is switched on so we can take some calls now on 845-363-4747. That's 845-363-4747 if you are in the United States. Hello, my Gina. Welcome to the show. And if you are in the UK, you can call me on 0208-133-5274. That's 0208-123-5274. 133-5274, and the numbers are up there, just there, I think. So make sure you give us a call. Hello to Lisa, welcome. I hope all is good with you. It's really hot here tonight in the studio, and I've got this really like itty bitty desk fan. So I need some hunky strangers to come with those big Egyptian fans and just, you know, fan me and keep me cool. I think we're going to have to get some air conditioning in the studio. I actually saw today that the family of Mr. Floyd, who was murdered by the cop in Minnesota, were not happy with the results of the autopsy because it said, as predicted, that it was due to underlying conditions. But the private autopsy that the family paid for basically revealed that it was death by asphyxiation, but not in just one place. You know, the asphyxiation there was pressure points on his neck and his chest and apparently a couple of other places. So I think they're going to have to change the charges now to murder in the first degree, but we will see how that pans out. How are things in your city? Hi, CV. CV is our guest in part 2. How are things in your city? I know that there are curfews in some cities and states. I heard that one was put in place today in NYC, which meant that basically you could only go out at till 4 p.m. I don't know where you get to go because, you know, everything's closed down in these blue states. But the concern is it's yet another infringement of people's civil rights, which is a concern on many levels. But let's face it, you know, the leadership of New York right now, both the mayor of New York City and the governor, are just so corrupt right now. And I bet if they did a forensic audit, they would find that there's a lot of cash missing. Because why would he want all of that money? You know, the president sent him a ship, a hospital ship, but he still forced all of those people into nursing homes, killing thousands, you know. So I get very despondent when I see any elected official acting like this. But if it were Republicans in charge of New York State, I'm sure there would be, you know, hell to pay. But the only way to deal with this is to kind of vote them out. But can we afford to wait to vote these people out? Because the damage they could do in the interim is rather bad, to say the least. Yasmin says San Diego downtown got it bad. La Mesa, California, torched, and curfew in Riverside, California. Yeah, you see, it's happening everywhere. And then people say, why is this happening? I totally get that people are upset. I totally get that people are unhappy about what is going on in the United States right now. But what I do have an issue with the fact that because of some isolated incidents, that the whole of the police force in the United States, and even in the United Kingdom too, are being painted as institutionally racist. And in fairness, if that were the case, I would want every cop replaced. But I don't think that that's the case. I watched the footage several times of what happened to George Floyd, and that guy took pleasure in what he was doing. And I don't think it was so much that he was racist. It was more that he was an asshole. And when you behave like that, I'm sure he behaves like that towards everybody. You know, he had trouble in the security job he worked in that apparently George Floyd worked in too, you know, separated from his wife. So the guy is really, you know, not someone you want to be inviting around for Sunday lunch. And I think the main concern here is that whilst I'm totally anti-racism, and on this show we've spoken out about it so many times, but the ideology is that we actually have to do something to stop it. And And I don't know what more we can do to stop it other than speaking out about it. But what is becoming problematic, as far as I'm concerned, is those who want to make this a lot bigger than it is. Now, don't write in, well, actually, you can write in. You can write to Xander Gibb at idon'tgiveacrap.com. Don't write in and tell me that I'm racist or that I'm discriminatory, because I am angry and I am upset that yet another person has been killed unnecessarily. And if this is an incidence of racism, it really does need to be dealt with. But I think that we have to be very careful in crying racism. It's kind of a bit like the boy who cried wolf, because we got to a stage in the United States at one point where every single incident of issues with the police and a black person was because they were racist. And I don't buy that. I'm sure some of them are. I'm sure that a lot of them are. Well, no, that's probably a bit disingenuous. I'm sure there are some cops who are racist, but it doesn't mean they all are. I saw that people were trying to paint George Floyd's character in a bad way, saying he was trying to pass counterfeit money. I think most of us have had a Duff bill, $20 bill that's been fake and really not realized it. But when you get one of these fake bills, you don't know until you go and try and spend it that it's fake. So don't try and paint this man's character. I don't care what he'd done before that this incident happened. If anything, he was like the rest of us, entitled to due process, and he wasn't given due process. Gina says it's the left and Soros. Yeah, it really is. I was heartened to see that recently President Trump designated Antifa as as a terrorist organization. And I think the next stage of this really is to do as Hungary did, designate George Soros as an enemy of the state and an enemy of the people, because he is bankrolling these situations. And in doing so, what we can do is get rid of him and get him out of the country. Now, I know that's not a simple process, but surely as a domestic terrorist, as Antifa has been designated a terror organization, if he is funding them now, surely they could get him on the premise even of saying that he is funding terrorism. So I don't know. I think America is really messed up right now. And we really need to ensure that we are working together to not only protect Americans, but to protect the president too. Because he's been blamed for all of this, and I don't see, in all fairness, how he is to blame. I ripped off my toenail on the bed linen the other day. Is the president to blame for that too? And if President Trump is to blame for the racism that's occurring during his time in office, does that then mean that that Barack Obama was responsible for the racism that occurred during his time in office? I mean, I'm curious, because surely that rule, if that rule of thumb should follow, if President Trump is responsible for everything that happens in the country during his time of office, then surely Barack Obama was culpable for all the racist attacks, all the racism that increased. Because let's face it, we are now reaping the benefits, or whatever the opposite of benefits is, of Barack Obama being in office. He did nothing for the black community. When I see people saying on social media that Donald Trump has done absolutely nothing for has done absolutely nothing for the black community. It makes me really angry. Lowest black unemployment ever. You know, don't tell me that was because of Barack Obama. You know, because Barack Obama did, you know, nothing in order to change things with regards to employment. All of the things that all of the methods he employed to supposedly bring more jobs in never worked. And as well as that, he basically made a bigger divide in the black community. And that's concerning. You know, first black president, first African president, African American president, slip of the tongue. You know, he should have been the trailblazer in trying to get a better deal for black people in the United States of America, but that didn't occur. And I think black people are seeing that. For me, this is the next stage on in shaming Donald Trump. You know, the impeachment failed. We've seen through the BS of COVID-19. The next thing is to say that the president is racist and is responsible for this. But you know, it's kind of interesting. It's not 5 minutes ago that Joe Biden was saying, "Oh, if you don't vote for me, then you're not black." So there is, you know, kind of an element of concern with all of this. It's all political. It's all politicized, and I think we should all be aware and concerned of what is actually happening in the United States right now, because if we just kind of ignore it and we don't kind of face it head on, there really is going to be a bigger backlash than is occurring right now. And the worry is, you know, that it's actually just going to escalate to a point where we can't control it. So it's time for our first guest of the night. Our first cab off the rank is international political commentator Mark Sutherland from the UK. You can check him out at marksutherland.org. All of his information is on the Xander Gibb show page for today. I caught up with him earlier to break down this week's very, 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 very hottest topics. So welcome back to the show, Mark Sutherland. How is the world with you amidst all this craziness?
Thank you, Dan. It's lovely to be back. I think I'm bearing up under this experiment in communism within the United Kingdom, and I'm sure with many people that we know, we're absolutely fed up to the back teeth of this, and we need to get on with our lives.
Jawohl. I agree with you, 200%, because it's just become so ridiculous on both sides of the pond. The people's lives and livelihoods are being affected, and the goalposts are being moved further and further and further. And people are talking about, well, we're going to get back to not just the normal, but what they're referring to as the new normal, which is even more concerning, I think. So I want to jump into the first topic. If we can find the right mouse to get the teleprompter to work, this is the problem, all this technology. So since the murder of George Floyd recently, so-called protesters have ensued across the USA, in London and various other places. Now, whilst I hold truck with any peaceful protest, as it is your constitutional right, George Soros ships in and pays scripted protesters to Minnesota, etc., and looting ensues. Now, I must have missed where we have the right to loot and be violent and attack cops as a part of the protest. Now, blue states have suggested a softly approach be applied, which frankly has taken away any deterrence there are for the police. And you can be arrested for trying to go to church in the United States, but not rioting and looting. Now, as the impeachment and the politicizing of Corona has failed, is this part 3 in the ongoing attempts to oust what has clearly been a very good president? What say you, Mark?
Well, Flynn, Russia, Ukraine, impeachment, Kavanaugh. I mean, this is like round 6, isn't it? Maybe my maths is failing me there.
Yeah.
This is round. I mean, let's just say it on the line. The killing of this particular gentleman in Minneapolis is appalling and should not have happened. Everyone, we've all seen the footage in that regard of what happened.
Right.
But when we see, we have to question the fact that we see provocateurs. We suddenly see the fact that there's piles of bricks suddenly arriving in Dallas and other places. We then see the fact that 70% of those people that have been arrested in North Carolina came from out of state,
right.
other parts. That is going on. There has been anecdotal talk of, suddenly various people, protesters, flying into airports, etc., to be in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. The right to protest is paramount.
Right.
But what is the looting of a Target store, running out with televisions, running out with this, that, and the other? That is unacceptable. Could
No.
you please tell me why a group of people then go and loot a Louis Vuitton?
Yeah.
Oh, that's because we fancy a new load of luggage, right?
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, now, Target in Minneapolis, I believe, has turned around and said, well, you've done that, now we're going to pull out our other four branches.
Right.
And all of it. So we think of the jobs that have gone, there's a minimum until a couple of, day or so ago, period of time ago, there were initially, when things were set alight, there was 170 small, businesses immediately have gone. And this, I'm afraid, is not right, because we've seen it. We've seen, let's go to a flashback. We saw what was tried in 2016. The President Trump would have a rally, or as Donald J. Trump as he was then there'd be people fighting and causing mayhem. And we know that these are paid provocateurs. We've seen stuff online where someone's got an umbrella in their hand with a gas mask, with pink canisters either side, suddenly smashing something, I think, of AutoZone or something, and people following him. Then he's threatening these people. That particular individual's faces appeared all over. So
absolutely.
There's loads of questions.
It's all so much of it is contrived, as far as I can see, and people send me things, and I was sent a document. I don't know how correct it is, but it was a contract for an actor to perform in a certain way at one of these so-called protests, and it was clear, who was paying for these protests. The disabled lady that they said, oh, she's got a knife. There are pictures of her afterwards, suddenly miraculously finding that her legs worked again, which is a total concern.
Wow.
But don't you think that this is more about saying, look, President Trump is incompetent? I'm not decrying what happened to George Floyd. As far as I'm concerned, whatever the outcome of that court case, that guy, that police officer, Chauvin, was complicit in his death. But this, as a response, is more about, as far as I'm concerned, trying to turn opinion against Donald Trump.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. So you've had the population of the United States locked up, in house arrest in this communist experiment for a number of months, where Dr. Fauci, and the Burks, Debbie and Tony, as we call them, all the figures are wrong, thanks to Neil Ferguson and Imperial College. Let's just say that again. No one quarantines the healthy and all this. So there's all this pent-up type of frustration maybe from some, but also the fact that Soros, he does pay these people. I mean, I was privileged to a conversation with a dear friend of mine who confirms this, where people were trying to be recruited. And of course, people think that we're making this up and some kind of appalling movie. It's not. It's real. So this is not acceptable. What is acceptable is a peaceful protest in the way of shouting to Turman and say that what happened to this gentleman is wrong. Absolutely right. However, you don't just you can't blame the president for that either.
No.
But people are exploiting that. Look at the fact
Of course.
that various states like California, Michigan, etc. Look at what Cuomo's been doing in New York in regard to, making sure certain individuals, so sadly people didn't leave out nursing homes, making sure they're going in there and all the rest. These other states will not open up.
No.
Get all these states to open up. That's really important before we push the economy off the cliff. And now we have this anarchy. I mean, the issue is, and this should have happened a long time ago, is the president has now declared Antifa as a terrorist organization.
For sure.
The next thing that needs to happen, as Hungary has not allowed, has kicked out Soros out of Hungary, Soros needs to be declared a terrorist and kicked out of America or wherever he is.
Absolutely.
That's it. This is the man, as you are fully aware, that in 1992, did a run on the pound that cost the Bank of England so much money. He is someone who basically, he's not bothered about his financial deals. He's not bothered in regard to the effects of the social change that he wants. He doesn't care about the consequences. He doesn't care about how people's lives are affected. Well, I'll tell you what, all lives matter.
Yes, for sure.
And I and you care very, very deeply about that. And I will say this, I'm very pleased, and having had an email from another dear friend of mine, where they talk about going down and defending a shop in North Carolina, and the fact is they've got the Second Amendment for a reason. And I'll tell you what, the people defending property are all different races and creeds. They really are.
Yes, for sure.
So we need to throw that one out as well.
We do. And I saw pictures of a cop that had got separated from his squad, and they were trying to attack him, and a group of about 10 black guys stood in front of him and stopped him from being attacked. Now that heartens me. That makes me even more willing to kind of stand up for, this kind of bent out of shape ideology that all black people are bad and all black people are criminals. Now there is an element of racism in this, but what has happened is that it's being politicized. The governor of New York, basically tried to suggest that the NYPD were systemically racist, and I don't agree with that. I'm sure in every police force there are racists and there are people that shouldn't be in the job, but to suggest that the whole force is systemically racist, that's a bit of a kind of stretch as far as I'm concerned.
I agree. We've had that over here. We had that over here when the present Archbishop of York made that comment on Metropolitan Police being institutionally racist over the appalling murder of Stephen Lawrence.
Right.
There is a number of things within that case, and what happened there was appalling. But I agree with you. I mean, that's to me at times. If we take what's happening in America, that's a constant left bash. We look at what Mayor Giuliani did over New York. Look at what he inherited at that time, and then look at what he then went through. Okay, you then put a police officer on the street every number of yards at every street, etc. In that grid system, and went for it, and the crime is lowered and all the rest. And Giuliani was said today, and others say we're not. Yes, you've got a right to protest, and what happened with that man's death is absolutely dreadful.
For sure,
these people need to be held to account.
They absolutely do.
But you do not go around rioting. But
no.
As we know, and as that's why AG Barr's come out with his comment, and that's why the president has said that the evidence showing that this is provocateur and that this is being organised. So what
Absolutely.
does happen? This is going to be organised all the way up to the election, Then we have what?
Clearly.
Election fraud.
Yeah.
We must do postal votes. I mean, what other things?
Yeah.
Are these?
Exactly.
These people must think we're absolutely stupid.
But
we've seen
but you know,
this
if
so
this
many times before.
if they're prepared to do this in order to get into power, what the hell are they going to do with that power? That's my concern. I want to jump to our final topic because we're always time bound. We need to do what we need to do is a whole hour one night.
I'll be delighted with that.
Absolutely. So as the lockdown in the UK eases, because I wish it would cease, and we start to return to some semblance of normality, the goalposts move daily and the rules remain unclear. Dominic Cummings breached the lockdown rules in the early days of the lockdown and refused to apologize, which would have made a difference to public opinion. Now, I know he's short-sighted given the fact he was looking for a branch of Specsavers in a historic castle, but has this short-sighted approach affected confidence in Boris Johnson?
Well, the bottom line is, as far as I'm concerned, when Cummings was ill, when Boris Johnson was ill, we've seen a coup, as far as an attempted coup,
Yeah.
and another push by Mark Sedwell, or the civil service, and also any other members of Parliament, who are particularly then on the Tory side, who are still Remainers. This is another, ranting about Remain, because
Yes.
I'm not. As far as I'm concerned, if I was in his position and I had a young child at that age, yes, I would have driven up there. I don't see any problem with that. He was in one house, excluding himself from other family, blah, blah, blah. That's it. There are other people that have done things. We haven't even talked about, Stephen Kinnock. What about Alistair Campbell?
Right.
Well, that's because they're on the left. There was then another Scottish MP that's done something, and then there's another shadow cabinet minister, I've
Right.
forgotten her name, who's now resigned because of this social distancing.
Went to have sex with her boyfriend. I remember that.
Yeah, but utter nonsense. The key is this, is that it's because Dominic Cummings was a part of Leave EU, a big part in that, has been a big part in us leaving the EU.
Right.
That's it, period. And this is the serious note, Xander. They are trying, so we left then on January the 31st, but we have until December to negotiate this trade deal. And if they push this, they've been trying to extend this. If they extended this beyond 30th of June, which they would love to do, would mean that we would be tied up for another 7 years of the EU
Yes.
budget in regard to
For sure.
financially contributing to
For
that.
sure.
The bottom line is, no way. We have seen how impartial through Emily Maitlis in the BBC, let's just name her because that's true, the fact that and the way she presented the Panorama programme,
Yeah.
we have seen other mainstream press, etc., absolutely go for him. Listen, yes, maybe he should have apologised, but resign, no way.
Right.
No
But-
way, because
Right.
of what's at stake here.
Absolutely, I agree with you. But had he apologized, even if Boris had turned around and said, I'm very sorry. This should not have happened. I've rapped him on the knuckles. Let's get on with making the country better and blah, blah, blah. We would have all felt a lot better. And that wasn't just an excuse to do my Boris impersonation. We would have all felt a little bit more comfortable about it. But I think he was a little arrogant about the whole thing, which, as far as I'm concerned, has made it worse. No, he probably shouldn't have
I
resigned.
understand that, but maybe if you've been so doorstopped by appalling press. But the other thing that he has given us the opportunity is, if any of us get stopped or we're in court with a fine, we just say, I plead Dominic Cummings.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm concerned, every single person that's been given a ticket or arrested for this should be let off.
For sure.
Immediately.
But they have refused that. They've refused that. There was a minister of religion on the TV, and he'd been going out to I think he was going to minister to some parishioners, but they gave him hassle for it and a ticket, but they wouldn't revoke his ticket. So I think anyone out there that gets a ticket, as you say, should just say, I plead Dominic Cummings. I'm sorry to stop you in your tracks, but we are time bound. I will book you in for a full hour, and we will definitely do a whole hour. But tell people where they can find you, Mark, and when you'll be doing some more stuff.
That's very kind of you. So my website, marksutherland.org, is where you can find me. Please look up my latest short film, The Iris Echo, which is a warning about communism. I didn't mean it to be prophetic, but here we are.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Please make sure you go and check out Mark Sutherland at marksutherland.org. And Xander, it's back to you in the studio. That was the fabulous Mark Sutherland. Make sure you go and check him out at marksutherland.org. Oh, yes, Cherie. I always think it's an interesting thing to get the impressions of what's going on from people kind of looking from the outside in to America. And it's interesting how many people actually feel that the president is trying to do his very best, while the liberals will try and, kind of paint a very different picture. Hello to Pat. Dave said, did you hear President Trump, who just messaged me actually, did you hear President Trump say, if you're a small business owner and forget you have the Second Amendment right to protect your business? I didn't, but good for him. But I think of all the businesses that have been destroyed as a result of this rioting and looting by thugs. I'm not going to call it protesting, because it goes far beyond a protest. If you're throwing bricks at people and attacking the police, etc., all that actually does for me is tell me that you have an agenda. And when you're walking out with a TV under your arm from Target, what are you protesting? That Oprah didn't invite you on her show and say, you get a TV, you get a TV, you get a TV. To me, it's absolutely hilarious. Yes, don't forget about those murder hornets, says Gina. They're always threatening us with something, aren't they? I thought the murder hornets was something to do with Hillary, but don't quote me on that, because I don't want to be on her hit list again. I'm just joking. She doesn't scare me whatsoever. So I'm going to start the intro for my next guest. He is a regular on the show, and he is C.V. Burton, co-host from Freedom on Deck. He's going to call us any minute now to break down some more of today's hottest topics. Oh yes, sirree. For all those drinkers among you, don't forget our drinking game. Every time I say the words yes, sirree, you can take a shot of whatever you are drinking, and this should be CV now. Hi, CV. Welcome back to the show. How is the world with you?
Hey, how are you, my in solidarity?
I am wonderful. I was just, I don't know what's happening. I was just hearing, oh, that's what it is. In my studio, I have these two big speakers, and for some reason, the ringing of the Skype was coming out on one of the speakers. So I thought I was being hacked by Hillary, to be honest, but I'm so thankful that I wasn't. How is the world with you? Is there a lockdown in NYC, and is it something that you have been affected by?
No, because I basically work at home anyway. But it does infuriate me to see the economy crash. The economy, which was the greatest economy in all history,
right,
in all the world, and all of a sudden somehow or another, communist China, along with the panicking Democrats, somehow managed to destroy it all.
Yes.
It really makes me outraged.
Yeah, me too, because this is just kind of another stage in the attempt to say that Donald Trump shouldn't be our next president, because, you know, if the Democrats get in, we are screwed, without a doubt. You know, America, if you're living in America, you may as well go and live in, you know, Uzbekistan, if the Democrats get in. Because if they're doing this, you know, they're prepared to go to these lengths to get power, what are they going to do once they get it? I mean, that is, you know, a concern, a grave concern for me. So I want to jump right in, because unfortunately we're always time bound. Now the chaos ensues, consuming the country, arrived at President Trump's door yesterday, when building near the White House grounds, the headquarters of the AFL-CIO and a historic church were set on fire as D.C. was gripped by thugs, rioters, and looters. Now, earlier in the week, they tried to breach the barricades, and on Saturday, protesters pushed back from the area, splintered off into downtown streets where retailers were looted and buildings burned. Now, 17 people have been arrested and 11 police officers injured. Now, isn't it time to get tough and call in the National Guard on these thugs?
Well, I haven't been watching the news tonight, but I heard there was a 7 o'clock curfew, and I've been busy with other things. I haven't, you know, I have one eye on the news and the other eye on my work, so it's hard to juggle everything. But yeah, you know, they've been trying to provoke Trump supporters and Trump from going back to 2016 when he was running.
Right.
Remember, they were paying people. They were paying crazy people to show up at his rallies and start fights. And they were caught on Veritas admitting that they were paying crazy people to provoke Trump supporters so that they could accuse Trump supporters and make Trump look bad. So you have the White House surrounded by lunatics paid for by, and everybody's going to say, Soros. Soros is just the face. I've been saying this for a long time. I question every piece of information that comes out of that TV box in my living room. If the TV box in my living room says it's Soros, then I'm going to say, no, it's not Soros. You know, we accept him as the bad guy, but I guarantee you, Jeff Bezos of Amazon and Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook and Jack Dorsey of Twitter, these billionaires who have much more money than Soros has. But they have a reputation they have to protect.
Yeah,
so I'm sure they're laundering money somehow into Soros's coffers.
Well, it doesn't.
And
go ahead. Sorry. No, I was just gonna say it doesn't. You know, I read this week that Soros has $8 billion, but Jack Dorsey has $28 billion. So it doesn't hurt, does it, if you've got that much money? You know.
Yeah. Right, and Jeff Bezos has about 60 to 100 billion.
Wow.
And he bought the Washington Post just as a hobby. The Washington Post was failing, and he bought it. They're losing money by the bucketful, and he doesn't care, because all he does is create these fake stories in the Washington Post, and it gets repeated. You know, any story in the Washington Post becomes the story, or CNN, MSNBC, whatever, and it becomes the story. So they could say anything, and then on the TV channels, they repeat it and say, "Well, the Washington Post is reporting, blah 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 blah." Yeah, because Jeff Bezos, who hates Donald Trump, bought the Washington Post and is using it as a weapon.
Yeah, they almost create the news, don't they? I was actually talking to some friends here today in the UK who happen to be liberals, and they often say, "Oh, Donald Trump did this and Donald Trump did that," And it's kind of like you have to fill in the blanks and educate people. Because the thing is that, if he's done it or he said it, I'm more than happy to say, yeah, he did that or he said that. But the vicious BS, that's going around like now, that Trump is racist and Trump is responsible for what happened to George Floyd. The scene behind me, the scenery for the show, fell down earlier. Is that Donald Trump's fault too? I mean, where do we draw the line? I really need to know.
With the left, they don't draw a line. They hit below the belt. They have no rules. They have no conscience. The ends justify the means. That was the Clinton the Clinton doctrine. I'm losing my voice tonight because I'm screaming so much.
I hear you.
But the Clinton doctrine was the ends justify the means, and Obama incorporated that into his doctrine, and his doctrine was reward friends, punish enemies.
Right.
And that's why the DOJ was used as a weapon, because it was like, reward you, let your friends skate if they break the law because they're your friends, but if your enemy didn't break the law, just say that he did.
Yeah. So the ideology really is with the left is that you accuse the opposition of what you've done because it deflects from the fact that you've actually done it. But I have a theory that America has more stupid people per capita because it's such a huge place. But surely, it's no secret I was a Democrat, but I got to the point where I could not believe the BS anymore. And when I started doing I was a Democrat when I first started doing my radio show. But it made me, as a journalist, as a broadcaster, it made me actually question everything. Because when you don't question everything, even, just as you said about the TV, but even from those people that we support, we should always be checking the things that we're told, because otherwise we would be liberals, wouldn't we? Let's face it.
Right. Well, if you're a libertarian at heart, it's easy to be a Democrat at first before you realize that they're really not the libertarians or the liberals that they claim they are.
No.
If anything, people who want to protect and defend their own nation and cut taxes and regulations, those things are the things, those are the things that empower the people.
Exactly.
And when you realize that, then you come over to the right side, but you're still a libertarian.
I
just realize the other party has been deceiving you.
Exactly. I was actually a libertarian before I was a card-carrying member of the Republican Party, and I actually became a Republican, to support Donald Trump. But the thing is, at the end of the day, I don't think that Donald Trump is a Republican by Republican standards. Donald Trump has always been classified as a liberal. I mean, when he was running for office, I said, is he running on the right ticket? But he absolutely did run on the right ticket, because I would classify Donald Trump as a libertarian because he's not a typical Republican. And thank God he's not.
Donald Trump is like, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. No, Donald Trump is like a character straight out of an Ayn Rand novel.
Yeah.
He's a builder. He's fiercely independent. He's an individualist. Nobody else has the haircut that he has. He's an individualist.
Yeah.
He's a libertarian, but I never for 1 minute ever thought he was a Democrat or a liberal in any way, shape, or form. I always knew he was conservative, going back to the 80s. In fact, he's been on TV talking about why he's a Republican in like the year 1980. Well, I forget what year it was, 1986 or something. He was talking about Dan Quayle and Larry King was said, "Why are you a Republican?" And he's like, "I don't know. I just happen to agree with what Republicans represent."
Yeah. But it's kind of
that goes back years and years ago. The only reason people who were trying to smear him were saying he's a Democrat, he's just running as a Republican because there's an opening on the Republican ticket, and the only reason they're saying that is because he had to butter up Hillary Clinton, who happened to be sitting on the Senate
Yeah.
in New York, and he has to get permits and things to build in New York City, which is a very liberal city.
Exactly. And, you know, when you look at videos from 20 years ago where Donald Trump is on the Oprah show, for example, Donald Trump is not saying anything different now to what he was 20 years ago. From, you know, for instance, of things like, you know, the USA getting ripped off, you know, America paying for everything, et cetera, et cetera. His ideologies have not just appeared. You know, he's had these ideologies, you know, as long as I can remember. In the run-up to the election, when it was announced that he was the candidate, I did a lot more research about him. Because like a lot of people, I had this ideology that he was this nasty guy that just said you're fired to people, which was obviously testament to how good an actor he is, because that was a persona. And I think a lot of us kind of, well, you know, I'll be totally honest. I'll hold my hand up. I bought that. But when you actually look into it deeper, having a businessman run the country that actually cares about America is far better than any politician that you could put into the job.
Yeah, and when he used to criticize George W. Bush, he was way ahead of me. I didn't realize. I was like, hey, now, wait a minute. I thought you were a Republican, and he's criticizing me. Now he's opened my eyes, and then I realized what a fool I was to believe in the checkered pants Republican,
right?
Golf club Republican, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
I did not realize that they were globalists. I know that George Sr. used to say, "We want a new world order."
Yeah.
And read my lips. No new taxes that he cut, and then he raised the taxes.
Yeah.
He was a globalist, and now I realize it's not just globalism and it's not just communism. It's global communism.
Yeah. And when
that is our enemy.
Aren't you afraid of liberals like Bill de Blasardio and the bug-eyed woman who's the mayor of Chicago, talking about the new normal and the new order? I mean, weren't we happy with what we had before? It's worrying that they talk in this narrative.
It's the exact same language Obama spoke in.
Yeah.
When he was running and he was trying to undercut our economy, everybody was saying, "Oh, under Obama, it's the slowest recovery." What recovery? He threw salt in the wound. He made it worse.
Well, actually, what he did.
Far worse. It was always every month the economic indicators keep coming out. They kept getting worse and worse and worse. I think the stock market was like 17,000.
Right.
When Trump took office, and it shot right up to 29. And then even with this pandemic, which was exactly like having Obama back in office again, and everybody said the new normal, and now the stock market's going back. It's like it's approaching 26 already.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of
back where we were.
It was a false narrative with Barack Obama, though, because all he was doing is printing more money, which you can't do, because that doesn't mean the country is doing better. What it means is you've just printed more money, and the rules are there for a reason with regards to how much money you can print every year.
Right, and the people are getting nervous about Trump spending so much money on bailing out this recent crash caused by the virus or caused by China, but we're going to make China pay for it.
We
That's
are.
all.
We are. Actually,
give everybody more thousands of dollars each.
Yeah.
And make China pay for it.
For sure. Actually, on this show, we call it China. Just for the record. Now, I want to move on to our next topic. Sleepy Joe Biden, who's finally called for an end to all violent riots and looting, which were obviously sparked recently throughout the United States, over the murder of George Floyd. Now, the presumptive Democrat presidential nominee posted a lengthy message this weekend and said, "We are a nation of furious at injustice," he said. and he suggested that I get a Q prompter that works properly. That he supported protesters against the death of Mr. Floyd, a 46-year-old unarmed black man who died after a white police officer in Minneapolis restrained him for more than 8 minutes, kneeling on his neck as he pleaded for air, according to charging documents. Now, people have forgotten all the black people killed under Obama's misadministration and his great divide of the black community. Is this just another ploy to win votes for Sleepy Joe in the election?
Well, everything that comes out of Joe Biden's mouth is a ploy because he can't tell you what he's really for.
No.
Because Americans reject socialism. And all he is another socialist dressed up as a moderate. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
And I don't know, he should not have won that nomination. That was totally rigged. I mean, that other guy, I forget his name, Butt Edge. He was mopping the floor with
Buttigieg.
Joe. And then all of a sudden, he's like, you know what, I'm just going to quit.
I had a couple of national newspapers in the United States contact me because I'm an openly gay commentator, which always makes me laugh, saying, do I think America is ready for a gay president? And my response was, I don't think that sexuality is the issue. I think your policies are the issue. Buttigieg was just so out there. And when, the left is all about identity politics, and when they want to make this more about who you sleep with than what you're going to do to make the country better, I kind of have to switch off straight away. But there's nothing in the Democratic Party platform that is even slightly delicious or tempting or even good for America. I mean, I don't doubt that Joe Biden is a placeholder, and we've said this before. But the wonder is who. Will it be Cuomo, or will it be Michael Obama? Who will it be? Because there is no way he is gonna be able to stand up there and debate with President Donald Trump. It's not gonna happen.
Right. Well, just like every day is Thanksgiving for me, every day is Halloween for the Democrats.
Right.
Because they always have to dress up behind some other mask, and they always have to, play identity politics with everything, because they cannot tell you what they really want to do is lord it over you. They want to tell you how much you can earn. They want to raise your property taxes. They want to put more regulations on you. They want to hurt business. They want to take over industries. They want to take over healthcare. They want to take over all the banking institutions, everything, because they're control freaks. They're communist scumbags, and they always have to hide behind fake events and fake causes and everything. Race is nothing. Race, the color of your skin, nobody cares about the color of your skin.
No.
Nobody.
No.
A child, a little toddler would care about that. What
Exactly.
I care about is what people think. What
Exactly.
they in their head. Not what they look like. What do you think I am? Some kind of baby? I'm not a baby.
Absolutely.
Sorry,
Stevie is not a baby, folks, so just make sure to make a note of that. So
as I'm crying.
my final, well, it's important we get passionate about it, and I'm sure you will agree with regards to my final question or my final comment, which is, aren't you tired of people saying that it's going to be a landslide victory for Donald Trump, which really kind of dictates that we don't need to work for it?
Wait, say that again?
Are you tired of hearing people say that it's going to be a landslide victory for Donald Trump, which will encourage people to think that we don't have to work for that victory?
Oh, yeah, I never go for that ploy. We all know that ploy.
Yep.
We have to act like our life is dependent on it. We have to get everybody that we know that will vote for Trump to the polls.
Right. Well, but you know, the thing
we
is,
have to stop that mail-in ballot initiative.
yes, for sure. But the thing is, you've actually hit the nail on the head there, because our lives, as we know it, does depend on it, and do depend on it. Because if the Democrats win this time, it's even more crucial than last time. If the Democrats ever get to rule in America again, to run the United States of America, America is over. Purely and simply.
Well, I thought that way when Obama was president. I said, we're never going to get out of it. That just goes to show you how great Donald Trump is. Because he turned the country around really fast. Unbelievably fast. He turned the country around. We had the greatest economy ever in the history of mankind. And what did they do to it? They sent a fire with it and destroyed our economy. We had a highest China. Really seriously.
Absolutely. And then we have to leave it, my friend. I'm going to give you some time to breathe deeply and calm down. But tell people in the interim where they can find you.
It's a radio show. It's called Freedom on Deck. It's heard in Connecticut, Rhode Island, and New York. But you can just go to freedomondeck.com and you can listen to us there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, C.V. Burton from Freedom on Deck.
Thank you.
Thanks, brother. Take care. Bye. That was C.V. Burton from Freedom on Deck. We did it. We got there. We got to the end of our first broadcast. Lots of issues with technology. I had two versions of Skype open. That's why I could hear it ringing when I picked it up. So yeah, lots of problems, but we got there in the end. Thanks to everyone who's made today's show possible. Thanks to everyone in the chat room and the live feed. Hi to Chet. I hope you're well, my brother. Thank you to my very special guest, Mark Sutherland at marksutherland.org, and C.V. Burton from Freedom on Deck, freedomondeck.com. All of their contact information is on the Xander Gibb show page for today. Make sure you check them out. Sundays 3 till 5 p.m. Not had the Phil of the Gibster. You can catch me 5 nights a week, 5 Pacific, 7 Central, 8 Eastern, 1 o'clock in the UK, and 12 o'clock in Australia. On tomorrow's show, musician Stephen Brunton from Jesus Hooligan and author Frank DeVersa. Thanks for joining us. Stay safe out there. And I really, 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 really do love you all. Bye-bye.
It has been good to me this time around. Things were they were bound to change when it was found. Sugar never tasted sweeter on my lips. My heart is now intact and I can find no ribs. This is love, yeah, love. Never known true love before. Seen so many counterfeits that left me on the floor. This is love, yeah, love. All will come to those who wait. Time it cannot know the bounds, and eras don't dictate.
Click the bell button and subscribe to keep up with the Xander Gibb Show. Oh yes, sirree.